So Pokemon TCG Live came out back in February in its beta, and it was accessible only to Canadians. Of course, people found a way to bypass that with VPNs and whatnot. However, the game itself was trashed upon pretty hard by the community. A lot of the big content creators, myself included, left pretty negative feedback towards the game. The game did do things right, obviously. It wasn't all bad, of course. Crafting, the battle pass, the getting a card you want easily, the decks they gave you pre-built. There were good things about it, but the big dark horse, the thing that really hurt the game, and what we all criticized it on, was the game did not look good, it didn't play good, and it didn't feel good. And Pokemon have listened to that feedback, and with this brand new update that they have now released with TCG Live, they have changed the look of the gameplay, and they have also listened to feedback. They put out a newsletter talking about the things. They put out a survey back in August, which they used a lot of that feedback that the player base left in that survey and added it to this new update. They changed the way the game looks. They've made the cards look bigger, the bench looks better now, and the game feels and flows a lot more smoother and a lot more faster, which was another criticism I had, was the game felt really, it was slow. It felt really slow compared to PTCGO. Now, in all honesty, I like the new update. The new update is good. It's a step in the right direction. They're listening to us. Pokemon could have easily just not taken all this feedback we as a community gave TCG Live, and they could have just thrown it out the window and been like, oh, we're going to release the game anyways. Who cares what the community has to say? But the fact they're not doing that, and the fact that they really want this game to succeed as much as we wanted to see it. As a content creator, I really want this game to succeed. I really want PCG Live to be a huge hit. I want to be good. I want to be better than PCGO. I don't want to see the community get hit really hard because we have a bad online client to play. The online era is in its golden age right now, with the online tourney scene, the amount of people that are playing the game now, with the Pokemon TCG becoming a lot more mainstream within these past couple years. We're in like the golden era of the TCG right now, in my opinion. So we need a client to be really, really good and deliver on all fronts. Live did not do that when it came out. PCGO does it, but not as good as it could do it, but it's the best we got right now, and it's feasible, it's workable, it's good. Live didn't do that, but with this new update, Live is now improved a little bit more. It's actually not bad to watch and play. Now, leave a comment down below what you think of this new update for Live. What do you think about the new update with the gameplay and everything? I would love to know in the comments below. We as a community need to keep constantly giving criticism and feedback and speaking on our thoughts on Live, because again, when this game eventually comes out, we need it to be good. We need it to be good. So all this feedback we as a community give is very, very important. So I would love to hear down below, what are your thoughts on the update? But let's go scope it out, and let's take a look at what TCG Live's gameplay now looks like. So yes, the game board has been updated, and they have really listened to the community's feedback on the problems that the original game board had. So for starters, it doesn't look as bad. The colors are there. It doesn't look as bland as, like, I guess Mahone called it bathroom floory kind of, which is a step in the right direction. But you'll see the gameplay itself will look a lot better here. So my opponent's going to go first. So there's a really good reason why I chose to play Giratina also for this video showcase. So off the bat, look at how fast everything is. Look at how fast and smooth it all is. That is really good. So we did unfortunately take a mulligan here. That's fine though. We are going to open a Comfy. I'll take it. It's still a lot of clicking and dragging, so that itself is still the same, but right off the bat, you'll notice everything is more faster and smoother now, which is awesome. Like, that is one of the biggest things that I'm glad they fixed, was that it's all faster and smoother now, right? That was one of the big criticisms. The game was slow. Like, the original build of the game was extremely slow. The fact that everything is faster and everything goes smoother now, it's really good. My opponent just does that and passes. All right, so I think I'm able to showcase what I want to do. We're going to chorus first, because so my objective this turn is to probably just hit him with a Cramorant, right? So we're trying to see the most amount of cards. I think we always want a chorus here. So it's still clicking and dragging. It's actually taking me a while to even click the chorus, because the clicking and dragging is still a bit of a problem, but that's fine. We'll take that, and probably that. So that's fine with me. We'll take these 3 cards, sure. And then the first thing I want to showcase, look at the Lost Zone. All right, look at that. That is actually really cool. Now, I don't know if this was before the update or not, but the Lost Zone mechanic is really cool. You can see the Lost Zone. It even tells you how many cards in your Lost Zone. You can look at your opponent's Lost Zone. The lasso animation is really cool. Like, look at how the cards go in, and you can even see the cards themselves in the lasso going in. You saw that there was a rock sand and air balloon in those tiny little cards getting sucked in. Attention to the detail. That's actually really cool. Look what happens when you bench a Pokemon. The entire card is on your bench. That is fantastic. One of the main issues before was that wasn't a thing, and it looked really, really, really silly before. So the fact that they have fixed that now is really good. You can still look through your deck. You can click here, look through your deck. Still an option. It's not the same as PCGO, so, like, coming from PCGO to live, if you don't like the way this works, it's fine, because you kind of have to get used to it. It's more of like a getting used to thing. The fact you can see most of your deck here is really good. That's, obviously a positive that this client does have. Again, it's still a lot of clicking and dragging, and I'm still not 100% sold on the amount of clicking and dragging you do have to do with this game. What it is. We don't know what kind of RC text is. We'll take the Sableye. But yeah, the cards go in Lost Zone. The Lost animation's cool. Like, it's little things like that that are nice. The little things count. You know what I'm saying? So we're at, what, 3 right now? If I don't cram them here, it's not a big deal. Even if I don't cram them. I gotta get still clicking and dragging. Long turn. But because of how fast and smooth the animations are, it does look a lot better. And the Lost Zone mechanic is kind of cool. The animations are faster. We're getting Marnie here. That's fine. Our hand's actually pretty bad. Never punished, I guess. But yeah, like, look at how fast Marnie is. Remember before, Marnie literally took 10 seconds almost to play in previous games. Oh, my opponent scoops the game. All right. One issue is the hand is still on this screen. That's obviously a bug. They can easily fix that. Now, with that all being said, it's not 100% perfect still. I do like the attempted change. I think the bench looks really nice. The fast, smooth animations are really nice, but there are still the issues. The biggest issue, and a lot of people agreed with this when I streamed it, is that the Pokemon are still facing the opposite direction. Like, everything is still facing one way, and that still looks really silly, and I definitely don't like that. I still think that the cards all looking one direction. Like, Crobat looks confused right now, even though it's not confused, and, like, that just looks really off-putting. I think they do need to still fix that. I still think that, which is another big issue with it. Another issue is that when sometimes a card gets played or you take a prize, the card is still, like, really blurry and really low quality. And, like, see the Gengar, when the Gengar got played, it just, like, looked really blurry. That's still an issue. And I think that is a bit of a problem. Honestly, they could still probably get a lot more room on this board. Like, looking at the game board right now, they could probably afford to make things a little bit bigger. Like, the cards are still kind of small looking. So they could probably still afford to, like, maybe change, like, this, make the cards look a little bit bigger. Like, I do like the attention to detail with, like, the Lost Zone mechanic and stuff. But realistically, it should always be more about, like, how the game looks itself. But the Lost Zone, the smoothness of it, how fast everything is really good. And it's something that we desperately did need with this client. We did kind of need that to be a thing. So it is good that is where we are at right now. Again, a lot of clicking and dragging still is kind of a thing. And again, I'm not a huge fan of the clicking and dragging, the constant clicking and dragging. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Yeah. But yeah, no, the clicking and dragging, kind of annoying still. Not gonna lie. But when you play Mirage Gate, watch this. So you play the Mirage Gate, you have to click and drag the energy to the right card. And it might be easy to, like, misclick. So they maybe want to improve upon that itself. I think they should maybe figure out a way to, like, improve upon even that. Also, I wouldn't mind if they made this look a little bit bigger. Also, it's something I do want to touch upon. It's very easy to accidentally click the wrong effect here. Like, I want to retreat, but it's so small that I could click the wrong thing. That's another, I guess, complaint I have. But yeah, watch this. So we're going to do Star Requiem. We're going to knock out the Zoroark. Everything looks cool, animation cool. Maybe they can make the animation look a bit better. Not a big deal, but watch this. So we're going to get our prizes here, right? So we take our prizes. Look at this. So they do look still a little blurry. See, look at how blurry they look there. They still look a little bit blurry when you take them. And that is kind of a visual error that I think they should improve upon, because they just look blurry. It just looks weird when you take a card. And this was originally in, like, the original state of PCG Live when it first came out. That was a complaint I saw people talk about, was, like, when cards get played or when you take a prize card, they looked really, like, blurry and bad quality for some reason. It's really off-putting. Like, everything else looks pretty crystal clear. I mean, you click on the card, it looks fine with me. You hover over a card, it pops up on the sky of the screen, which is nice, by the way. That is very nice that is a thing. Instead of, like, clicking on the card and it takes up your entire screen like on PCGO, it's like this. Another thing you might have noticed, the avatars are gone. They no longer have the avatars on screen. They used to be, like, right here in the corner, but they're no longer on the screen in the corner here, which is really nice. Obviously, no one likes avatars, but see, look at that. See, look at how blurry the Ultra Ball looked when my opponent played it. So it's like things like that they do probably want to also improve upon with this update. And those are some of my bigger gripes I have. Just the quality of the cards when like actions are used. The Pokemon are still facing the wrong way on your opponent's side of the board. It still looks really confusing. Like, again, this Gengar looks very, like, it looks confused. It looks off-putting. See, the double turbo looks really blurry. It's just, like, off-putting stuff like that. They definitely need to improve upon, in my opinion. But overall, it's really, they're doing an okay job, and I'm glad that this update is here, and I'm glad that if we're still going to be getting TCG Live at some point in the future, whenever that point will be, I'm glad that they're still listening to the feedback we're giving them. So when you play a boss, you have to click and drag the Pokemon the active. Instead of clicking on it, it goes to the active itself. You have to click and drag it. They could probably afford to change that. They did positive changes to the gameplay itself. And again, that was one of the biggest issues the game had, was the actual gameplay itself, which is what people want to, when they play this game, they want to play the game. So when the gameplay aspect is not good, obviously the game itself is not good either. So I'm glad that they fixed it. It looks better. Now, I want to know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think that this is better looking than PCGO? If TCG Live and PCGO existed, which one would you rather watch in this scenario? Would you still rather watch PCGO? Would you rather watch Live? If they could change anything about the current layout of the game that we're looking at right now, and this is what you had to watch for the rest of the TCG content sphere, what would you change about it, right? Would you be totally fine with this if they just fixed a few things, like made all the Pokemon face the proper direction, make the cards a little bit bigger? What do you think? Should they change the blurriness of the cards when they get played? Do you think those small changes would make this actual game board itself look more viewable? What do we think about that? They got to fix this too, obviously, at the bottom here. They got to fix that. The avatars I'm looking at you is really nice, obviously, too. But yeah, what would you fix about it? If this is what you had to watch, would you be fine with watching the gameplay how it is right now if they made a couple changes? And what changes would you want to be made to it? Another criticism I still want to add on to the agenda was the fact that I still don't like the deck manager on Live. I think the deck manager is still a little confusing to navigate, and I also do not like the layout of it. PCGO's deck manager is perfect. I love it. The fact that you can fully zoom in on the deck and see every card in the deck in one little thing is really good. That expanded view on the deck manager in PCGO is one of the best things about it. Live doesn't have that. The deck manager is still off to the side here. If I'm going to present a deck profile to you all, this looks really silly. Not only, like, my sponsorship logo's in the way, I have to scroll down. Like, it just doesn't look good. They should have a feature where you can fully zoom in on the entire deck view like on PCGO. That is something that I really want them to add in, because I think the deck manager still needs to be worked upon. Again, I'm still not a fan of, like, the overall look of, like, the home screen, the landing screen. I still think it's kind of soulless and kind of dull. They should still improve upon that. So one other thing I want to look at here is actually the letter that they gave to the community after putting out this update. So they had an attached letter, and they, once again, really took into account all the feedback we gave. Dear Pokemon TCG fans, today we're excited to share more about the updates and changes coming this year to Pokemon TCG Live. In August, we shared a survey with everyone who played the Pokemon TCG Live Limited Beta to help us in our ongoing efforts to better understand player impressions of the game's current state. Hopefully, by the way, you all filled out that survey and left constructive and good feedback/criticism, because believe me, that survey probably went a long way in improving the actual future and state of Pokemon TCG Live. I obviously did the survey. I did on my live stream, but I did the survey and I did leave my opinions, and my opinions were mostly negative. I left a lot of my negative opinions that I had about the game, and anyone who did that, they really took that into account. Today we like to provide insight into some of the common themes you've shared with us part of the survey. Players like crafting daily quest battle pass content. Again, there could be little things done to improve upon all that in total, but the basis for that is there. It can be improved upon when the game actually comes out. It's not that big of a deal. Players found the gameplay to be strategic and clear. Nah, I'm not sure about that. Players found matchmaking was too slow, and some players experienced numerous bugs. Yeah, the PCG Live is a very buggy game. Almost every week there's like a new game-breaking bug. It's kind of insane. I think actually right now when you load TCG Live up, an Amorous V is actually banned. So there you go. The matchmaking was too slow. Debatably it was. I don't know how many people actually play the game. That could just be because people actually don't play the game that much. So the player base is very small, which means slower match times. Or their matchmaking was actually just kind of weirdly coded. I'm not sure on that one. Players just like the pace of receiving progression rewards and the difficulty of finding cards in their collection. Again, yeah, I agree. It's not as fluent as TCGO. TCGO is easy to find a card you want. The collection on TCGO is really easy to navigate. And again, Deck Manager, easy to navigate, looks way better than Live's. Players just like the art style, including elements, avatars, board design, and overall UI layout. Yes, this was like the big criticism I had. And as a content creator, this is what I was really worried about the most, was how the game looked, played, and felt. And they seem to have fixed a bit of that with this new game board update that I just showcased to you all. We'd like to thank everyone who took the time to share their thoughts with us. They are critical to the development of TCG Live. We've identified and prioritized all the issues described, and your feedback helps us continue adjusting and iterating as many ways we can to optimize the experience for all players. With today's update, the visuals and board layout changes previewed in our last letter are now live. With this new design in place, we're excited to show off some of the new visualizations that will use the background display various energy types when Pokemon are played. Animation displays the existing ones. Yeah, I'll get that point. But that's what I like to see, right? I like to see that they improved upon the gameplay. And that's the most important part, is the meat of the potatoes of the game itself. So you can watch this little clip here. Yeah, that looks cool. That looks cool too. You know, when you play grass, fire Pokemon, water Pokemon down, that looks cool. Okay, stuff like that, that's pretty cool. I like that. That improves upon the viewing experience a bit more. Obviously, it's not the most important thing they should change. I still think if they're gonna add this, they should still make all the opponent's cards face towards you, not towards them. Touching on the pacing of the progression rewards noted in the survey results, our internal data review showed that most players use rewards to craft competitive decks for receiving those same cards in the Battle Pass. As a result, we've changed the Battle Pass to earn more in-game currency and receive those cards in earlier tiers, which is obviously good, right? You know, you don't want to buy a competitive deck on TCG Live, build it, craft it, and then you get the same cards in your Battle Pass tier. So that is obviously good. They put more competitive cards towards the beginning of the Battle Pass as opposed to towards the end. So you don't have to work towards to buy it. So you don't craft them early on and then get them later on anyways, which is good, I guess. The feedback we received is integral, part of helping create a better experience. I'm glad they did all this. Now, in my opinion, is TCG Live better than TCGO right now? No, I still think PCGO is superior client. PCGO just does way more things better than Live. I still think PCGO's gameplay is superior to Live's at the moment. I still think the deck manager, the fluidity, the simpleness of navigating PCGO is easier than working with PTCG Live. But Live is doing things to improve upon it. They are listening to the community. They're actually improving things. Like, that gameplay update was huge. That's huge. Like, again, the gameplay was one of the biggest criticisms we as a community had towards PTCG Live. And the fact that they have now improved upon that is fantastic. Again, some of my main criticisms still include, you got to make the deck manager look a lot better. Make it, honestly, just do what PCGO does with the full deck view screen mode. Make it easier to navigate through your collection. And with the gameplay elements, there are still changes to be made, again, to make the cards look a little bit bigger. They still look kind of small. I am glad they fixed how the bench looked, but they definitely should also make the cards face towards you, and make your opponent's cards face towards you instead of facing one way. The opponent's Pokemon still look kind of ridiculous. I still think they need to change that. They should figure out a way to fix that blurry effect when opponent plays a card, or when you take a prize card and the cards get played, they look blurry. They need to fix that. It looks really off-putting because everything else looks genuinely pretty good. So they gotta fix that too, right? So those are some of my main criticisms I have with Live. I'm glad they're listening, and if Live is going to end up coming out in the near future, it probably will come out next year if I had to take a guess. 2023 will probably be when Live officially fully releases and PTCGO goes into sunset. I would like to see the game be even better than TCGO, and they're taking steps in the right direction, and I'm glad that this new gameplay update was added. I think it was definitely needed, and the fact they're listening is really good. If you have any feedback to give Live, obviously you can leave it on the forums, you can leave it on Twitter, or reply on this video too. What do you think about this update? What do you think about Live's new update? Do you like the gameplay aspect? Do you like how it looks? What could be changed about the game even more? Because obviously it's not perfect. They are nowhere near perfect. There's still a lot of issues with it, but the small things count, I guess. Thanks for watching, and here's to hoping that Live becomes better than PCGO at some point in the future.